AI Superpowers, China, Silicon Valley, and the New World Order by Kai-Fu Lee. Picture this. A 19-year-old kid sits in a leather chair, stage lights beating down on him. He's rubbing his temples like he's got the mother of all headaches. But here's the thing. This isn't some college exam. This is a straight-up battle. And his opponent? Not human. It's AlphaGo, an artificial intelligence built by Google. The game they're playing is Go, an ancient board game so complex it has more possible moves than there are atoms in the entire universe we know about. This teenager, KG, happens to be the best human Go player alive. For centuries, masters believed Go was an art form, something that needed that special human touch, that mystical intuition no machine could ever crack. But on this day in May 2017, the machine wasn't just winning. It was systematically, coldly, perfectly taking apart the best player humanity had to offer. 2 hours and 51 minutes into the final match, KG knew it was over. He hunched over the board, pulled off his glasses, and in a moment captured by cameras around the world, he wiped away a tear. That single tear created shockwaves across the planet, but it hit China differently than anywhere else. While the West saw a machine's victory, China saw something else entirely. They saw a challenge. This was their Sputnik moment. Just like when the Soviet satellite launch shocked America into the space race, this match lit a fire under an entire nation. It was the moment China decided it wouldn't just participate in the age of artificial intelligence. It would dominate it. That match is the explosive opening to AI Superpowers, written by someone who's had front-row seats to this revolution his entire life, Dr. Kai-Fu Lee. Lee isn't just watching from the sidelines. He's one of the world's most important figures in artificial intelligence. He pioneered AI work at Apple, Microsoft, and Google. He built the research lab that trained nearly all of China's top AI leaders. And now he runs one of the most powerful venture capital funds in the world, investing in the next generation of technology. But his story took a profound turn when a personal crisis forced him to confront not just the future of technology, but the future of humanity itself. Today, we're going to journey through his incredible insights. By the end of our time together, you'll understand the secret story of how China rose to challenge Silicon Valley's dominance. You'll see the 4 waves of AI that are about to wash over our world, changing every job and every industry. And most importantly, you'll discover the one thing, the one truly human quality, that machines can never replicate, and why that single quality holds the key to our survival and our purpose in the age of intelligent machines. This isn't just a story about technology, it's a story about us. So how did we get here? For decades, Silicon Valley was the undisputed king of the tech world. Companies like Google, Facebook, and Apple didn't just build products. They shaped the digital world in their own image. And for a long time, China was seen as a land of copycats, a place that could only imitate the innovations coming out of California. Kai-Fu Lee tells us this view is dangerously out of date. To understand why, you need to hear the story of a man they called the cloner. His name is Wang Xing, and in the early 2000s, he was famous for one thing: meticulously copying America's hottest startups for the Chinese market. He created a clone of Friendster, then a pixel-for-pixel copy of Facebook, then a perfect replica of Twitter. In Silicon Valley, this looked shameless, the ultimate proof that China lacked true innovation. But what the critics missed was what was happening behind the scenes. Wang wasn't just copying, he was learning. And he wasn't competing against the American originals. He was fighting for his life in what Lee calls the Colosseum of the Chinese Internet. While a startup in Silicon Valley might face 1 or 2 competitors, a Chinese startup faced thousands. When Wang launched a copy of Groupon, the group buying site, over 5,000 similar companies sprang up in China almost overnight. This environment was brutal. It was a world where competitors would do anything to win. Copying was expected, price wars were vicious, and dirty tricks were common. This brutal ecosystem forged what Li calls gladiator entrepreneurs. They weren't idealistic founders trying to make a dent in the universe like Steve Jobs. Many came from humble beginnings, driven by hunger and an ultimate goal of getting rich. They were scrappy, market-driven, and incredibly fast. They learned to build products, innovate business models, and build a fortress around their company, all while fighting off 1,000 enemies at once. And guess what? The Gladiator won. Wang Xing's Groupon clone, Meituan, is now valued at $30 billion, making it one of the most valuable startups in the world. The original Groupon? It's faded into near irrelevance. The most valuable product of China's copycat era wasn't a piece of software. It was the entrepreneurs themselves. These gladiators are one of China's secret weapons. But they had another one that's even more powerful. Kai-Fu Lee explains that the AI revolution is driven by two major shifts. First, we've moved from an age of discovery to an age of implementation. The hard, foundational research in AI has largely been done, pioneered by thinkers in the West. Now the game is about applying that technology to real-world problems. It's like the difference between discovering electricity and actually building all the appliances that use it. The second shift is even more important. We've moved from an age of expertise to an age of data. In the world of AI, there's a saying, there's no data like more data. An AI algorithm is only as smart as the data you feed it. Lee argues that once you have decent engineers and enough computing power, the single most important factor for success in AI is having massive amounts of high-quality data. A team of average engineers with a mountain of data will beat a team of world-class experts with only a small hill of data, every single time. And this is where China's second superpower emerges. Lee describes China as the Saudi Arabia of data. It has more internet users than the United States and Europe combined. But it's not just the quantity of data, it's the quality. Around 2013, China's internet took a strange turn. Instead of copying Silicon Valley, it evolved into what Lee calls an alternate internet universe. This universe was built on a few key foundations. First, most Chinese citizens leapfrogged the PC era and went straight to mobile. Their first and only computer was their smartphone. Second, this led to the rise of the super app, WeChat. Imagine an app that combines Facebook, iMessage, Uber, PayPal, Yelp, and a dozen others all into one. On WeChat, you can message friends, pay your bills, book a doctor's appointment, order food, and unlock a shared bike, all without ever leaving the app. The final piece was the mobile payment revolution. In China's cities, cash has almost completely disappeared. Everyone, from fancy restaurants to street food vendors and even beggars, uses QR codes on their phones to pay for everything. This created a completely cashless society, something unseen anywhere else in the world. This alternate universe created a fire hose of data about the real world. While Google knows what you search for and Facebook knows what you like, Chinese tech companies know what you buy in a physical store, where you eat lunch, how you commute to work, and what time you book your doctor's appointments. This created the world's richest datascape, tailor-made for the age of AI implementation. With gladiatorial entrepreneurs and an ocean of data, the stage was set. The final ingredient was a government willing to put its thumb on the scale. After the AlphaGo match, the Chinese central government issued an ambitious plan to become the world leader in AI by 2030. This acted as a starting pistol for mayors and local officials across the country, who began pouring billions of dollars into subsidies, creating AI development zones, and offering generous government contracts to AI companies. While the U.S. government often takes a hands-off approach, fearful of picking winners, Lee explains that China's techno-utilitarian culture is willing to make big, sometimes inefficient, bets on technologies it believes will drive the country forward. So we have the players and the battlefield, but how will this revolution actually unfold? Lee breaks it down into 4 waves of AI. The first wave is Internet AI. This is the AI you're already familiar with. It's the recommendation engine that powers YouTube, Amazon, and Netflix. It learns your preferences and serves up content to keep you clicking. China is particularly strong here, with companies like Toutiao, a news app run entirely by algorithms instead of human editors, becoming massively popular and valuable. Li predicts that in this wave, China and the US are currently tied, but China will pull ahead slightly in the next 5 years due to its massive user base. The second wave is business AI. This is about using AI to optimize traditional industries like insurance, banking, and medicine. Imagine an AI that can analyze millions of loan applications to make smarter lending decisions, or an AI that can scan medical records to diagnose diseases with greater accuracy than human doctors. Here, the U.S. has a commanding lead because its corporations have been collecting well-structured data for decades. China is catching up in areas where it can leapfrog old systems, like with AI-powered microloans for people without credit cards. But Li believes the U.S. will maintain its advantage here for a while. The third wave is perception AI. This is where things start to feel truly futuristic. This wave is about giving machines eyes and ears, digitizing the physical world through sensors, cameras, and microphones. This wave blurs the line between the online and offline worlds, creating what Li calls OMO, online merge offline. Think of a smart supermarket where a shopping cart greets you by name, knows your shopping list based on what's in your smart fridge at home, and lets you pay just by scanning your face. Or an AI-powered classroom that uses cameras to track student attentiveness and customizes homework for each child's specific needs. China has a huge advantage here for 2 reasons. First, the cultural attitude toward privacy is more relaxed, allowing for more data collection in public spaces. Second, the city of Shenzhen is the world's undisputed capital of hardware manufacturing, making it incredibly fast and cheap to build the smart devices, sensors, and cameras this wave requires. Li predicts China will dominate this wave. Finally, the fourth wave is autonomous AI. This is when AI gets a body. It's the culmination of the previous waves, giving machines the ability to move through and interact with the world. We're talking about autonomous drones that can fight forest fires, robots that can pick strawberries, and of course, self-driving cars. This is the one area where elite expertise still matters immensely. The engineering challenge is so complex that it requires the best minds in the world. For that reason, Silicon Valley companies like Google's Waymo currently have a 2 to 3 year lead. However, China is catching up fast. Its government is willing to build entirely new, smart highways and even brand new cities designed from the ground up for autonomous vehicles, which could accelerate deployment and data collection. Li believes this final wave is a toss-up, with the US and China having even odds of leading the world in 5 years. Now, if this were just a horse race between 2 countries, the story might end there. But Kai-Fu Lee's most powerful warning is that the real crisis isn't between the US and China. It's the crisis that will unfold within every country. Lee argues that the old economic argument, the Luddite fallacy that technology always creates more jobs than it destroys, is about to break. Previous technologies like the steam engine mostly automated physical tasks, turning farmers into factory workers. But AI is different. It's a general-purpose technology that will automate both physical and cognitive tasks. Using a simple but powerful set of graphs, Lee shows which jobs are in the danger zone and which are in the safe zone. The jobs most at risk aren't just low-skill manual labor. They are any jobs, blue-collar or white-collar, that are routine and optimization-based. Think telemarketers, customer service reps, truck drivers, and even radiologists and loan underwriters. The jobs that are safe are those that require creativity, complex strategy, and most importantly, compassion and human connection. Think CEOs, social workers, psychiatrists, and elderly home caretakers. The result, Lee predicts, will be devastating. Within just 15 years, I will be technically capable of replacing 40 to 50% of all jobs in the United States. This won't mean 50% unemployment overnight, But it will lead to massive job displacement, downward pressure on wages, and a level of economic inequality we've never seen before. The world could split into two groups: the AI superpowers, the US and China, and the rest of the world, which will be left behind. And within those superpowers, society could cleave into an AI elite of technologists and capitalists, and what one historian has called a useless class, people whose labor has no economic value. This, Lee warns, is the real AI crisis, not a war with robots, but a war with ourselves, fueled by widespread unemployment and social turmoil. It's a terrifying vision. And for a long time, that might have been where Kai-Fu Lee's analysis ended. But then his own life was thrown into crisis. In 2013, at the height of his career, Lee was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma. He was given just months to live. This diagnosis shattered his world. For his entire adult life, he had lived like an algorithm, obsessively optimizing his time to maximize his impact and influence. He even woke himself up twice every night, just to answer emails. He had treated his family with the cold calculation of an engineer, spending just enough time with them so they wouldn't complain before rushing back to his work. Staring death in the face, he realized that all his achievements, all his influence, all his wealth meant nothing. The only thing that mattered was the love he had failed to give to the people closest to him. In his own words, mesmerized by my quest to create machines that thought like people, I had turned into a person that thought like a machine. This profound realization changed him. He survived his cancer, but he came back a different man. He reordered his life, putting his family first and dedicating himself to sharing compassion and love. And through this deeply personal journey, he found a new vision for our shared future with AI. He realized that AI's greatest gift isn't the wealth it will create or the problems it will solve. Its greatest gift is that it will finally force us to confront what it is that makes us human. AI algorithms are brilliant at optimization, at analytical thinking, at processing data, but they are utterly incapable of one thing: love. AlphaGo felt no joy in its victory over KJ. And I cannot feel compassion for a patient receiving a difficult diagnosis. It cannot feel the pride of a teacher watching a student finally grasp a new concept. This, Lee believes, is our path forward. We must forge a new synergy between machines and humanity. We must let AI do what it does best: optimize, analyze, and handle the routine work. This will free us, humanity, to do what we do best: to love, to connect, to create, to serve, and to feel compassion for one another. This isn't just a hopeful platitude. It's a blueprint. It means creating a new social contract where we use the immense wealth generated by AI to create new kinds of jobs. Jobs in caregiving, in community service, in education, in creative arts. It means moving from a culture that values only economic productivity to a culture that values human connection and compassion. The crisis of jobs and meaning is coming, but it's not a foregone conclusion that it will destroy us. Instead, it could be the very thing that liberates us. It could be the catalyst that forces us to rediscover our own humanity. As you can probably tell, AI Superpowers is a book of two halves. On one hand, it's one of the sharpest, most clear-eyed analyses of the technological and economic forces that are reshaping our world. Kai-Fu Lee gives you the insider's view of the silent war for technological dominance being waged between China and Silicon Valley. He pulls back the curtain and shows you the machinery of the future. But on the other hand, it's a deeply personal and philosophical book about what it means to live a good life. The final chapters, where Lee shares his battle with cancer, are what elevate this book from a great business read to something truly profound. It's rare that an expert with such deep technical knowledge can also speak with such vulnerability and heart about the human condition. The most powerful lesson I took from this book is the reframing of our purpose. For so long, we've been taught that our value is tied to our job, to our productivity, to our ability to contribute to the economic engine. This book challenges that idea at its core. It suggests that perhaps the very definition of work is about to change. Maybe the most important work of the 21st century won't be building algorithms or managing supply chains, but caring for an aging parent, mentoring a child, or creating art that moves the human soul. So what can you, a young person on the cusp of building your life and career, take away from this today? First, think about your skills through Lee's framework. Are you focusing all your energy on tasks that are purely optimization-based? Or are you also cultivating the skills that are uniquely human? Creativity, strategic thinking, collaboration, and empathy. The future won't belong to the person who can compete with an AI. It will belong to the person who can partner with one. Second, start to notice the value of human connection in a new way. The book makes you realize that the moments of genuine compassion, a teacher who stays late to help you, a friend who truly listens, a family member who offers unconditional support, are not just nice to have. In an AI-driven world, these interactions become the very fabric of our value. These are the jobs that can't be outsourced to an algorithm. And finally, approach the future with curiosity, not fear. It's easy to hear about these massive changes and feel helpless, but Lee's ultimate message is one of agency. He reminds us that we are the authors of this story. AI is not a tidal wave that will wash over us. It is a tool that we are building, and we get to decide how we use it. We can choose to use it to create a world of even greater inequality and division, or we can choose to use it to build a world that is more prosperous, more compassionate, and more deeply human than ever before. That was a look into AI Superpowers by Kai-Fu Lee. We've explored the grand sweep of his ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. The real journey, the real discovery, happens when you decide to walk the path yourself. If the story of China's gladiators, the 4 waves of AI, or Lee's profound personal journey resonated with you, I truly encourage you to pick up a copy of this book. Reading it isn't just about understanding the future, it's about deciding what role you want to play in shaping it. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, I'd be so grateful if you would hit that subscribe button. We explore a new, world-changing book from the Billionaire's Bookshelf every week, and I'd love for you to join us as we continue to learn and grow together.